Tojo Fitness podcast again this wonderful Thursday. How are you all?
Hey ladies and gents, you are in for a wonderful treat today as we are going to be talking about the benefits but also teaching you how to breathe.
So you thought that breathing was something that just happened naturally. But actually, for most of us, many of us certainly, breathing is something that doesn't actually happen naturally. By that I mean breathing properly. In a world where stopping to take deep breaths feels like a luxury, where the pace of life is so fast and this increase of stress and pressure is sort of inevitably increasing, there's anxiety and mental health disorders are peaking, and it seems more and more challenging to find peace. And one of the easiest ways to find peace is right in your lungs. It's your breath.
It is. So how many times during the day, I know for myself, if I'm sending loads of text messages, if I'm writing loads of emails, if I'm doing particular activities, I'll actually check in myself and think, oh my gosh, I've actually forgotten to take a breath. And so modern day, at the moment, most of us will live our life with what's called a shallow breathing. And shallow breathing only does the bare minimum of breathing just to get that little bit of oxygen into your body, just to keep your body ticking over. But first of all, we want to talk to you about the benefits of taking deep breaths.
And you know, it's so important because it's a little bit like, imagine if you're talking about nutrition now. If you just eat bread and cheese all day, every day, you could survive on that, but you wouldn't thrive. And as Joe said, taking little shallow breaths, it enables you to get enough oxygen that you don't die of asphyxiation, but it doesn't actually give you the health benefits that we're designed, as human beings, we're designed for deep breathing, not the little shallow breaths that we have because of our very sedentary lifestyle.
It's true. So the benefits of deep breathing, I'm just going to list quite a few here. Now, if you've got pen and paper, or perhaps you journal, perhaps you'd like to write these down. But here are the actual health benefits of deepening the breath. Firstly, it decreases stress and increases the calm in your life.
Why don't we take a breath now?
Let's take a big breath now, shall we?
Let's do that again. Take a nice deep breath. So that proves the point, because every person who's actually done that will have found that their shoulders would have dropped down, their sense of calm will have increased, and stress would have decreased just a little bit. What a wonderful thing that is.
Also, deepening the breath, did you know can actually relieve pain?
Any woman who's given birth will know about this. The breathing techniques used help with pain relief for sure.
So what happens is deep breathing releases the pain relievers in the brain from the central nervous system, endorphins and enkephalins, and they inhibit your pain receptors, which may be a little sensitive from stress or anxiety or depression.
Yeah, this is exactly how it works, is when you're under stress, when you're under anxiety, your pain receptors become really finely tuned. It's a little bit, if I turned the gain up on this microphone, I wouldn't need to talk so loudly for it to pick up that I was speaking. And it's like that. Stress and anxiety turn up the pain receptors, so a small amount of pain registers as a very, very large amount of pain. And so if we can turn those back down again, and deep breathing will do that. It reduces stress, reduces anxiety, and then the pain receptors themselves, they're still there, but they just won't receive pain as being so dramatic as it otherwise would.
Next, these two are kind of like linked in. So deep breathing stimulates what's called the lymphatic nervous system, which is also linked with the immunity of the body. So the lymphatic nervous system, through your body, you will have known or heard that you have lymph nodes all the way through your body. Those lymph nodes are very, very good at storing toxins. Now, to deepen the breath, it makes sure that those lymph nodes are actually getting the flow in and out.
They're flushing through because the way, for instance, we all know that blood circulates around your body, and blood which is no longer oxygenated gets pumped back to your body. And if I was to say to you, what is the pump which makes that go back? You would all say it's the heart. But the lymphatic system does a similar thing, dealing with all the toxins in the body, and it circulates. It has veins and artery kind of structures which correlate to the veins and arteries in our physical body here. But the thing is, we don't have a heart which activates the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is pumped by breath. Our deep breathing is that, which is why if you go for a run, afterwards you feel wonderful. You feel amazing. You feel healthy. Your head is clear. And it's because you've used deep breathing to flush out the lymphatic system and get all those toxins out of your body.
It does, and in turn that improves your immunity in your body. I remember when I was going through chemotherapy, and in my little booklet that said one of the hints and tips of getting through chemo is to make sure you deep breathe. And that makes sure that you are bringing fresh oxygen into your body, getting rid of all the crappy toxins out in your carbon dioxide.
So of course, if you're just breathing very, very shallowly because you're sitting at a computer all day, or you're very sedentary, you're not going to have that effect. Toxins are going to build up. Talk to us about the increase of energy.
Increasing energy. So, for example, you wake up in the morning, you've just woken up, and you wake up tired. Now, what happens is during the night, you're down to like a bit of a shallow breath. You're down to your automatic breathing. So you wake up in the morning, a little bit oxygen deficit, if I'm honest. When you start to deep breathe and bring oxygen, all the oxygen floods your body, and then you start getting your energy systems up and running through that intake of oxygen.
Yeah, it's actually a great process to incorporate into your morning routine, is to, when you wake up, before you do anything, just lie there and take some deep, long, slow breaths. Breathe in for the count of 10, hold it for a count of 10, breathe out for a count of 10 perhaps. In the morning you'll be able to do that, perhaps not during the day when you're expending more energy. But taking this time to really flush out the system, and of course you're sending fresh, oxygenated blood to your muscles, you'll feel much less fudgy-headed, and you'll be ready for the day.
And also, if you're feeling really, really tired and then you do some exercise, because exercise actually forces you to breathe, who finishes an exercise session not feeling worse than when they started?
Yeah.
It's because you've taken on fresh H2O. That's water.
It is. O2.
O2. Why did I say H2O?
Well, you know, it's. I understand science is my department.
Yeah, totally.
Let's talk about how it lowers blood pressure. Many studies have shown this over many years, how deep breathing lowers blood pressure, which is why meditation is so good for you. One of the reasons. There's lots of reasons why meditation is good for you, but it lowers your blood pressure. They've done tests with Zen priests, Zen Buddhist monks and so on, people who meditate, and they've just been able to show dramatic lowering of blood pressure issues. And of course, blood pressure is often linked up with stress and so on, which meditation can help with. But on the same level, it also improves your digestion as well. And you think, wow, that's amazing. How can that help? And it helps because your digestive system needs lots of fresh blood in order to do the digestion. The breathing actually helps the colon to push through as well waste materials. So
I love the way you're using your terminology.
I know, I'm trying here to not, trying to keep it professional here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it improves your digestion. Wonderful thing.
Also, we're going to look at how a little bit as it improves your sleep. Improves your sleep. So if you struggle to sleep at night, perhaps due to an underlying or subconscious stress, anxiety, depression, having some deep breaths actually starts to calm the mind at night. Now, I don't know about you, perhaps you're really tired during the day and then you get to actually wanting to sleep at night because your body's been begging for it all day long, and then your mind starts to come alive at night. So taking some deep breaths, the reason why we breathe, and we focus on the breathing only, which is what we're going to get to in a tick, that actually starts to calm the mind down.
And of course, connected while we're talking about the mind, we could talk about how it helps with anxiety and actually with depression. And you say, well, that's strange. How can breathing help with depression? And it helps in two ways. The first is, once again, because we're sending around lots of lovely oxygen. That's O2, Joe. Lots of oxygen. Thanks. We're sending to the body, which invigorates the body, makes you feel less sluggish. It gives the brain the things it needs. You know, your brain needs oxygen and it needs sugars in order to function. And you deprive it of one of those two things and it has problems. So it reduces depression because of that, but also it helps balance the brain chemistry. So a lot, not all, but a lot of depression is caused by oxytocin, serotonin imbalances, issues with other hormones which get out of whack in the brain. And a lot of depression medication, it aims to try and balance those hormones up. But actually deep breathing can remarkably balance those up. In fact, many studies have shown that it works much more effectively than even the most effective antidepressants.
Yeah, remarkable thing. Just linked with that, deep breathing can also improve your mood. If you're feeling pretty sad, pretty meh, pretty down in the dumps, to sit there and actually deep breathe, we're going to teach you how to do that in a tick, will actually enhance your mood because it releases natural chemicals into your brain, which are the feel-good chemicals. We talk about these chemicals all the time. You're probably really bored with it now, but it's a way of, you don't even have to do it. You don't have to sit there and go, right, chemicals release. All you need to do is just start deepening your breath. And then all of a sudden, especially, we've spoken about this before, the parasympathetic nervous system, when it hears that big sigh out, it takes it as a sign that you are actually relaxed. And then those feel-good chemicals start pumping out of your brain through your body.
And finally, it decreases your heart rate. Now, why would you want to decrease your heart rate? If you want to do a test on roughly how healthy somebody is, one of the easiest ways is to find out what their resting heart rate is. So if you take an athlete, you'll find their resting heart rate is very, very low. If you take somebody who's sedentary and is in a high-stress job, their resting heart rate will be very high. Now, when you deep breathe, it lowers your heart rate, but if you do that consistently, it resets your resting heart rate. So it doesn't just decrease your actual heart rate at any given moment, but keep doing it and it will reduce your resting heart rate.
So they are the health benefits that actually are connected with deep breathing. And we spoke about how during life, especially if we are in times of anxiety, of heightened stress, we'll start to shallow breathe. And actually, you will find it very, very difficult to try and grab a breath. Ever had that before, where you feel like your stomach's knotted, you feel like there's the tightness in your throat, you feel like you actually can't, you literally cannot breathe, perhaps through stress, through fear, through anxiety. And what we're going to do by deep breathing, the lungs itself will only actually kick in pretty much on half when you shallow breathe. And it starts to store like air in the lungs. So for example, when you go out for a run and you come back, do you ever feel that you're coughing up just a little bit of muck? I know that I do. And where you've started to deep breathe on your run, hopefully, it starts to dislodge all that air that the lungs have actually started to... All the gunk that's started to build up.
Good way of talking about this is imagine that you've got a jug which you store water in, and you put, you keep it in the fridge and you use that water, and when it's run about half empty, you fill it back up again. Now, over a period of time, that jug there's not fresh water in that jug. Only 50% of the water is fresh. The rest of the water is water that's been stored in there for days, weeks maybe, but it's just been diluted by the new fresh water going in. So when we talk about a deep breath, we're fully emptying the lungs and fully filling them up. So if you're going to do that with your jug, you take your jug out of the fridge, you'd empty it out fully and put fresh water in it and then put it back in the fridge. I remember my granny she used to always use freshly drawn water when you boil a kettle.
Yeah, very, very true. So that starts to kind of dislodge all the debris that your lungs actually start to build up. So we've done quite a bit of talking about the benefits of deep breathing. What we want to do is actually give you a bit of an example. And so if you are listening to this and you are at home and you'd like to give this a go, we're going to talk you through it so you don't feel that the silence is a bit too awkward. So if you'd like to press pause now, go and get yourself into something comfortable. Perhaps go and put your jogging bottoms on, something that's not too restrictive, and then come back and press play. And then we're going to talk you through how to sit, how to breathe, how to monitor your thinking through this as well.
And welcome back.
So here what we're going to do, we're going to sit comfortably first of all. Now when we say sit comfortably, it's best to sit upright with your abdomen and your core up nice and straight. If you are folded over, that's actually going to restrict the amount of breath that you're going to be able to breathe in, because we're going to be breathing in from our tummies, and so your tummy needs to be up nice and straight. Or you can lay down, as long as you're laying flat on the floor, laying down, and your tummy has got room to rise and room to fall. So take a seat, you can even kneel, lay down, and first of all I'm going to ask you to start relaxing your shoulders.
And why do we do that? And the reason is because when our shoulders are up around our ears, we tend to just breathe using the top part of our lungs. So we drop our shoulders, and by doing that we're activating the belly part. We call it belly breathing. If you ever watch a little baby's, it's all of their belly is rising and falling. Their belly, it's like a balloon, rises and falls. You don't see the top of their chest moving very much. And that's the normal, natural way human beings are meant to breathe. So we drop our shoulders, which releases the stress immediately, which enables us to breathe from the tummy.
So we're just going to draw those shoulders down, and I'd like you to now soften the eyelids. So softening the eyelids takes away the distraction of our mobile phone, takes away the distraction perhaps of what's happening outside of the window. So I'd ask you and to invite you just to start softening the eyelids, and then to place your hand onto your tummy. And the reason why we do that is because we actually monitor how our tummy starts to rise and it falls as we take our breath. Now I'd like you to take a deep breath in, expanding the tummy as much as you can. Then you're going to breathe out through the mouth. So we're going to take a deep breath in through the nostrils, and then a big breath out through the mouth. Now we're going to start counting as we start to breathe. So we're going to count for 4 seconds. We're going to breathe in for a count of 4. Breathe out for a count of 4. And again, breathing in. And breathing out. And we're going to do that again, breathing in. And breathing out. Well done. Now, as you continue to do that, we're going to listen to my voice as you do. And I'd like you to draw your attention to your breath as you continue to breathe in through the nostrils and breathe out through the mouth. How does it feel to breathe in? How does it feel with the air rushing through the nostrils and pushing out through the mouth? How does the tummy feel when it rises and when it falls? And I invite you right now, as you continue to breathe in for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 4, to be in the moment now. Because your mind is going to want to start fighting you any second now. So breathing in for 4. Continuing just to drop the shoulders, keep the eyelids soft. Breathing in again. And breathing out. And one more time, breathing in. And breathing out. So you continue to do that. And as you push through, when your mind wants to tell you about what needs doing, where you need to be, perhaps you've got a washing pile that needs ironing, I want you to keep coming back to the feel of the tummy rising and falling. The feel of the breath as you breathe in and as you breathe out. What it feels like to take that deep breath again. Keep coming back to this present moment. And if you find it easier, we're going to let you carry on after this podcast to potentially put perhaps a sound of rain in the background, or just a little bit of white noise so you don't feel too awkward. Or you can just enjoy the silence or work your way up to silence. But I'd like you to continue to breathe in for a count of 4, and we'll breathe out for a count of 4. And one of the ways that you can continue to practice this is to start off by doing 5 minutes a day. Just 5 minutes a day, and then start adding in 2 minutes each day as you start getting more and more confident, as the mind and the body starts getting used to the practice that you started to begin. But also to train the mind that it's not in control when you want to breathe, that you are actually able to bring that mind down to a place of peace and to a place of calm, a place of clarity, where all of a sudden the storm stops and you're able to take that deep breath, that breath that you've been longing to take for so long. So why don't you continue to breathe as we come to the end of this podcast? If you need some more guidance, we'd love to hear from you. There are some amazing apps out there as well which are guided meditation. But this is just the start. This is the 101 of how to deep breathe and how to actually get started. Enjoy.
Namaste, friends. Have a good week.